The legendary American golfer Ben Hogan once wrote that good golf begins with a good grip, and it's essential to settle into a solid, comfortable grip before you ever take a swing. When you grip your club, remember that the more relaxed you are, the smoother your swing will be, and the straighter and longer you'll hit the ball. There are 3 main grips to choose from, and it's up to you to experiment with them and discover which one feels right. First is the Vardon grip, which is also known as the overlapping grip. It's the most popular grip in golf. Simply take the little finger on your trailing hand and place it in the hollow between the middle and index finger on the lead hand. If you're right-handed, your lead hand will be your left. The thumb on your lead hand should slip into the lifeline on your other hand. The interlocking grip is the most popular grip in professional golf, and it's the one used by Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. Simply take the little finger on the trailing hand and lace it with the index finger on your lead hand. Once again, the thumb on your lead hand should then fit into the lifeline of the trailing hand. The final grip is the 10-finger grip, which is also known as the baseball grip. It's the simplest grip to master, and it's a good starting point for anybody with smaller hands. To position your hands properly, start with a lead hand grip, then place the little finger of the trailing hand close against the index finger of the lead hand. Finally, cover the lead hand thumb with the lifeline of the trailing hand. Now that you've got your grip, let's take a look at how you should be standing. Maintaining a proper posture before, during and after you hit the ball will help you produce a better, more efficient swing. So it's important to get into the habit of setting yourself up correctly every time. A key ingredient in producing a reliable golf swing is your body position, and this needs to be correct right from the start of the swing. First, stand over your ball with your legs about shoulder width apart. Make a slight bend at your waist and flex your knees a little. Make sure you don't bend down too low or slouch on the shoulders though, as you'll be inclined to raise your body up during your swing, making a proper contact with the ball less likely. On the other hand, if you stand too upright, then you'll swing the golf club too flat and run the risk of hitting the top of the golf ball. Try not to stand too far away from the ball either, and remember, your arms should be hanging down and not out. You'll also need to establish good balance on your feet so you can make your swing and accurately return the center of the club face to the center point of the ball. Now that you have a solid grip and the correct posture, you'll need to make sure you line yourself up properly. This is called alignment. When addressing the ball, your body should be positioned parallel to the target line. If you look at the address from behind, a right-handed golfer will appear to aim slightly left of the target, while the ball will fly correctly on the target line. If you're having trouble aligning yourself, place 2 clubs on the ground in front of you and imagine they're like a railway track. Your body should be on the inside rail and the ball should be on the outside one. Swing through aiming to avoid the club, and the ball should sail away on the correct line. Now let's see how you should position your feet. This is called the stance. The width of your stance will differ depending on what club you're hitting. When you're hitting the driver, your feet will be wider apart than any other club. You'll also have to stand a little further back from your ball, as the driver has a much longer shaft than the other clubs. The ball, meanwhile, should be just inside the left heel. When you're taking irons, your feet should be shoulder width apart with the ball in the middle of your stance. When you're using the shorter irons like a pitching wedge, your feet should be closer together. The idea being that the angle of your swing will now be steeper, creating extra loft. So remember, choose the grip you feel most comfortable with, but don't worry if it's not the same one Tiger uses. Settle into a nice relaxed posture before you even think of taking a swing. Keep your legs shoulder width apart, flex your knees and balance evenly on your feet. Line yourself up with your body parallel to the target, then make sure your ball is positioned correctly in relation to your stance. You should now be set up correctly, and you can start working on building a consistent swing. The swing is the single most important part of playing golf. Professionals can spend their entire careers honing their swings, and no one swing is the same as another. With the exception of putting, it forms the basis for every shot in the game, so it's essential to get it right from the start. The first thing to remember about the golf swing is that power and distance come from the coiling motion of the upper body and not from sheer brute force. That's why it's crucial you don't try to hit the ball too hard. Remember, you're trying to sweep the ball away with the club, not knock the casing off it. The best golfers have a smooth, consistent swing that looks almost effortless. This should be your goal. There are 5 main stages to the golf swing: the address, the takeaway, the backswing, the downswing, and the follow-through. So let's first look at the address. The address is the stage just before you begin your swing, and it's where you settle into the correct stance and posture, bringing the club head to the ball. Next up is the takeaway. The takeaway is the initial part of the backswing. Here, the club is brought back parallel to the ground simply by the movement of the shoulders. Your hands and arms should remain in the same relative positions as they are at address. Start by moving the club back slowly and gradually increase your tempo as your confidence grows. Next is the backswing. The backswing describes the movement of the club head as it's brought over the head and your hands extend to shoulder height. Keep your left arm across your chest and coil from the shoulders, not the hips. The wrist should only be cocked to the very top of the backswing. Meanwhile, the club should be parallel to the ground and pointing directly at the target. At this stage, your weight should have transferred almost entirely to the right leg. The downswing takes the club from the top of the backswing to the point of impact with the ball. This is where the body uncoils and releases all the stored energy and where the weight is transferred back onto the front foot. Try to remember the correct sequence on the downswing. Shift weight, rotate hips, and finally release the hands and arms. The follow-through completes the swing, and while the preceding stages create the power, it's this stage that gives the ball its direction. When you complete the follow-through, your chest should be facing the target, and the sole of your right foot should be visible from behind. Try to finish with your elbows out in front of you. Remember to maintain your posture throughout, keeping your head still and your eyes on the ball. If it seems like there's a lot to remember, then that's because there is. But the more you play, the more natural the whole process will become. One of the best methods of establishing good swing habits is following a pre-shot routine. This is just a way of establishing the correct grip, posture, stance, and alignment before you hit the ball, and it can really help improve the chances of executing the shot you want. So remember, power and distance come from the coiling of the upper body, not from brute force, so keep the swing nice and smooth. Start by setting up correctly as we looked at in Chapter 1. During the backswing, cock your wrists only during the final phase and shift your weight to your right leg with your left arm across your chest. Release all the stored energy through the downswing and transfer your weight back to your front foot. Follow through with your chest facing the target and your elbows out in front of you. There are few more satisfying things in the game of golf than smashing a drive into the distance and watching as your ball lands safely in the middle of the fairway. But if you're going to grip it and rip it, you're going to have to get the basics right first. It's important to get the right club to suit your standard. Buying the biggest, most expensive driver on the market may make you feel like a professional, but there's no point spending a small fortune on the same driver that Tiger Woods uses when you're only hitting it half the distance he does. You should also pick the right club for the shot ahead of you. Consider your options. If the fairway's tight and space is at a premium, you may want to consider hitting an iron instead. It may cost you some distance, but it will help keep the ball out of trouble. If you've decided to use your driver, then the first thing to consider is the height of your ball when you tee it up. Remember, when you're using the driver, you're looking to strike the ball on a slight upward swing. So tee the ball up, making sure that half of it is above the top line of the driver. If your ball's teed too low, you run the risk of a shallow angle of attack, and you may hit the ground before you hit the ball. There's also a chance you may top the ball, whereby the club face clips the upper half of the ball, propelling it into the ground rather than into the air. Using long tees These will help alleviate these problems, but the process of teeing up will soon become second nature the more you play. A strong wind can also move a golf ball a surprisingly long way, and it's worth checking as you might need to compensate for it when picking your line. If you're going to drive the ball consistently, you'll need to be set up correctly. That means getting your stance and posture right before you begin that all-important swing. As we mentioned, when you're hitting the driver, you should be looking to strike the ball on an upward swing path, so you should have the ball placed forward in your stance in a line with your left instep. Your stance should also be the same width apart as your shoulders, with the majority of your weight on your back foot. This will give you more stability as you hit through the ball. Finally, don't forget to set up with your right shoulder slightly lower than your left, as it will increase the chances of hitting the ball on that upward stroke and getting the ball airborne. When using the driver, begin your swing by taking the club slowly away from the ball on a shallow path. This will help to maximize the turn in the shoulders and, consequently, the distance you achieve with your shot. At the top of your backswing, try and maintain the weight distribution already set in place during your setup. As you move back towards the ball, your weight should then transfer to the front foot, allowing you to clear through the strike to a controlled finish. Above all, take it easy. While the speed of the swing will play a huge part in determining how far your shot goes, a solid contact will still yield impressive results, even at a slower swing speed. Think slow and smooth, and you won't go far wrong. So remember, tee the ball nice and high to catch the ball on the upward swing. Set up with the ball forward in your stance and the majority of your weight on your back foot. Your right shoulder should be slightly lower than your left. And finally, always remember to stay relaxed during the swing. Once you've driven off and found the fairway, there's still a long way to go to reach the green. You're going to need another great shot to get there, and you'll probably be reaching for a long iron or fairway wood. Both of these clubs are a key weapon in the golfer's armory, as they give your ball a much lower trajectory than other clubs and help you squeeze those extra yards out of your swing. Maintaining good balance through the shot is vital. Even though you're aiming to hit the ball a long way, always try to avoid overswinging. Concentrate on executing your normal swing, remembering that length doesn't come from power. Take the club back slowly, shifting your weight to the back foot as you do for the drive. As you begin your downswing, concentrate on accelerating into the strike and try and feel your knees and hips driving through to the ball. A well-struck iron should leave a long, thin divot immediately in front of the ball. As with other shots, try and finish with your chest pointing at the target. So remember, maintain good balance through the shot. Accelerate through the downswing and feel your knees and hips driving through the ball. Effective driving is crucial to keeping your scores down, but you'll often find that things don't always go according to plan. Next, you'll need to learn how to get yourself out of trouble when that happens. There will be occasions when your ball doesn't always find a nice level piece of grass. What you have to remember is that on uneven lines, your swing will essentially remain the same, but your setup has to be adjusted, as will your choice of club. On uphill and downhill lies, for example, try and work with the slope rather than against it, replicating a level lie by setting your body up perpendicular to the slope. On side hill lies, meanwhile, you may need to use more club, as the key to playing the ball is maintaining balance, and that will be easier to do with a different choice of club. When you're faced with an uphill lie, remember that your ball will fly higher than normal. The way to work with this is by taking one more club than normal. So, if you would normally take a 7-iron for instance, try a 6-iron instead. Set the ball further forward in your stance, and when you take the club back, keep your back leg firm. On the way back to the ball, transfer the weight to your leading leg and finish your swing with the all-important shoulder turn. For the downhill lie, work the opposite way to the uphill lie. Choose one less club than normal, as the ball will fly lower off the face and therefore travel further, and play the ball back in your stance. When you play the shot, your weight should be on your front foot, and as you swing, you should feel as though your hands are following the line of the hill. This will ensure you hit down into the back of the ball and prevent your body from returning to its natural upright position. So remember, on uphill lies, compensate for the flight of the ball by taking one more club than usual and set the ball further forward in your stance. On downhill lies, take one less club than usual and set the ball further back in your stance. Now let's look at side hill lies. The key to playing side hill lies is in your setup. When the ball is above your feet, address the ball with more weight on your toes, and as your body is closer to the ball than it would be on a normal flat lie, you'll need to grip down the club a little. The position of the ball will also mean that the plane of your swing will be flatter, promoting a natural tendency to hook the ball. You can counteract this by simply aiming to the right of the target as you set up for the shot. When the ball is below your feet, you should sit back on your heels as you prepare to make your shot. In contrast to when the ball is above your feet, there will now be a tendency to slice the ball as your swing plane is more upright. This time then, allow for it by aiming more to the left than you ordinarily would. Grip your club as near to the end as possible so you can use its full length, then flex your knees and tilt your upper body downwards more than normal. The most testing aspect of this shot is staying down through impact. If you can manage to do it and swing within yourself, then there's every chance you'll find the control you're seeking. So remember, when the ball is above your feet, shorten your grip a little, address the ball with your weight on your toes, and aim slightly to the right of the target. When it's below your feet, sit back on your heels, grip your club towards the end, and aim slightly to the left of the target. For many golfers, the shot out of the greenside bunker is the most feared shot in their game. It needn't be. Apply the right technique and you'll find that escaping from those dreaded sand traps is a lot easier than it looks. It may sound strange, but the greenside bunker shot is the only shot where you're deliberately trying to miss the ball. You're actually aiming to hit the sand about an inch or so behind the ball, thereby creating a burst of sand to lift the ball up and onto the green. Start by getting a solid base for your feet. Now take your sand wedge and address the ball. The key to successful bunker shots is making sure that the club face is nice and open. Your toes, hips and your upper body should be aiming to the left of the flag, with the ball in the middle of your stance. Adopt your usual grip, but hold the club a little firmer, and try to keep your hands level with the ball and not ahead of it. Now flex your knees and get your weight onto your left foot so as to encourage a steeper line of attack for your club. Hover your club behind the ball and pick a mark in the bunker where you want the club head to enter the sand, then aim to hit this spot. You should be looking to sweep a section of sand about the size of a banknote away when you play the shot. A good way to practice this is to trace a box around the ball in the sand. Aim 2 to 3 inches behind the ball and think of removing a shallow patch of sand from behind and in front of the ball. Keeping your head steady, take the club back more sharply than you would for an ordinary iron shot. As you swing back towards the ball, you should feel like you're cutting across the ball, or as golf coaches say, from outside to in. While this may feel unnatural, trust your swing. Even though you think you're going to hit the ball too far left, the fact that your club face is open will actually take the ball to the right. You'll often have to be quite aggressive when you hit the ball, so it's important to make sure the wrists hinge fully at the top of the swing. As ever, it's imperative that you accelerate through the ball when you play your shot. You should also make a proper follow-through with a good hip and shoulder turn. The last thing you want is the club stopping in the sand and the ball staying in the bunker. When you're in a bunker, your club should never touch the sand until you play your shot. So whatever you do, don't ground that club or you'll face a penalty. So remember, address the ball with a solid stance and an open club face. Hold the club a little firmer than usual and get your weight onto your left foot. Aim to hit the sand just behind the ball and take the club back more sharply than normal. Accelerate through the ball and follow through cleanly. While escaping from bunkers was all about control, escaping from thick rough is one of the few times on the golf course you'll need raw pad to help you out. The first thing to do is assess what the best course of action is. Don't get greedy. If the green's 200 yards away and your ball's barely visible in the rough, you may want to reconsider going for the green. The one thing you want to do above all is to get your ball out and back in play. Grip down the club slightly and set the ball back in your stance. As you're going to need your body weight to help power the ball out, shift your weight to your leading leg. This will help increase club head speed through the ball. Now make sure your wrists are firm throughout the strike. This is vital because as the club moves the rough, the grass will tug at it, pulling it offline. Keeping your hands firm will help ensure that the club face is as square as possible on contact. Don't forget to complete the shot with a full hip and shoulder turn. So remember, shift your weight to your leading leg, keep your wrists firm and attack the ball, finishing with a full hip and shoulder turn. Once you're hitting the ball consistently, you're ready to learn how to attack the green and get the ball as close to the flag as possible. The pitch shot is the one you'll need to employ when you're close to the green but beyond the range for a chip shot. The aim is to hit the ball so high that it lands softly on the green and stops quickly without running on. When you're pitching, it's not how hard you hit the ball that determines how far it goes, it's how long your swing is. When you're planning a pitch shot, try and visualize where you want the ball to land, then practice the length of swing you feel you'll need to execute the shot. Distance control is the key. While your basic swing stays the same, you should use a longer backswing for longer pitches and a shorter one for shorter pitches. Try to make a full turn of your shoulders. This should allow you to attack the ball while still retaining the all-important control needed for effective pitch shots. The high pitch or flop shot is the shot to use when you're about 30 yards from the green and want to shoot for the flag. The trouble is there's a bunker right at the front of the putting surface blocking your way. Take a sand wedge or lob wedge if you have one and try and visualize the shot you want to play. Place the ball back in your stance, open the club face and keep your hands level with the ball. Now stand with your feet closer together than normal and just as you do when hitting from a bunker, aim to the left of the target. When you swing, make sure the club clips the grass and doesn't angle down through impact. Try and swing with a longer follow-through than backswing, and the result should be a shot that soars straight up and lands softly on the green. With the ball coming straight down from a long way up, it's not unusual for it to leave a mark on the green, known as a pitch mark. It's common courtesy in golf to repair your pitch mark immediately, as it will recover within 24 hours, whereas if left, the damage can last for weeks. To repair a pitch mark, simply push a long T-peg or pitch mark repairer into the green around the indentation, making sure you get under the deepest part of the mark. Press down on the end of the tee and lift the turf back to the surface. Work around the pitch mark until it's ready to be smoothed back down. Then use your putter to level it out again, ready for the next player. So remember, place the ball back in your stance and keep the club face open. Stand with your feet closer than normal, making sure the club clips the grass. And finally, try and use a longer follow-through than backswing. For the average golfer, it's on and around the putting green where most shots are lost, and where a good round can very quickly disintegrate into a bad one. The chip is a key shot in any golfer's armoury. Not only is it one of the simplest shots to execute, it's invaluable for getting you out of those tricky situations you'll often find yourself in around the green. The key to effective chipping is to accelerate into the impact and let the club face lift the ball up and onto the putting surface. Remember this and you'll keep your scores heading in the right direction. When you're setting up for a chip shot, your feet should be closer together than they would be for a normal line shot, and the ball should be further back in your stance. Remember to place the majority of your weight on your front foot and keep it there throughout the shot. It's vital to grip the club lightly and keep your wrists nice and firm. You may also want to grip down the handle to help shorten your swing without slowing it down. Your hands should be ahead of the ball and the shaft of the club angled towards the hole. This will help produce a cleaner downward strike and a crisper contact. When you focus on the strike, it's imperative that you commit to the shot and accelerate through the ball. Try and think of the chip shot in the same way as a putt. Keep your head, legs and upper body still and swing from the arms and shoulders, not the wrists. Don't worry about getting the ball airborne. Play it correctly and the club face will propel the ball upwards. So remember, set up with your feet close together and place the majority of your weight on your front foot. Grip the club lightly and swing from the arms and shoulders, not the wrists. The putt is the make or break shot in golf. It doesn't matter how good your approach play is if you can't sink the ball at the end of it. Professional golfers have a saying, drive for show, putt for dough. And if you want to shoot really low scores, you're going to have to develop a strong short game. So let's start with the setup. Adopt a stance with the ball nearer your front foot and the putter face square to your target line. Make sure your eyes are over the ball. You can test if your head's in the correct position by holding a golf ball to your nose and dropping it onto your ball below. If it hits the ball, you've got it. The putting grip differs from a normal swing grip in that, rather than allowing the wrist to hinge freely, you want to join the hands together to work as a guiding unit, controlled by the shoulders. To achieve this, place the putter in your left hand with the handle running high up through the palm. Bring your right hand in to join the left, making sure your palms face each other. Keep the forefinger of your left hand free and pointing down. Then drape it over the fingers of your right as your hands come together. This will effectively lock the wrists in place. Now hold the putter lightly, but try to keep your wrists firm. Allow your arms to hang down like a pendulum. They should now form a triangle from the putter grip up and across your shoulders. The secret lies in maintaining that shape throughout the whole putting stroke. A good way to get a feel for this is to place a club between your arms and chest and keep it there throughout the stroke. This will force your shoulders and arms to work as one and reinforce the connection with the club, feeling the whole unit swinging together. Your hands help guide the club but should remain passive throughout the stroke as part of the unit. Try and envisage how the ball will get to the hole, taking into account any undulations in the putting surface. This is called reading the green. Don't worry if you can't pick the right line straight away, it will become easier the more you play. Take a couple of practice swings to try and gauge what speed you'll need to hit the ball. Then replicate the swing when you come to making the shot. Take the putter back smoothly, swinging from the shoulders, not the wrists, and keep the putter head square to the target throughout the stroke. Now watch the putter connect with the back of the ball. If you've hit it correctly, it should feel as though your right hand is guiding the ball towards the hole. When you've made the stroke, you'll be tempted to look up to see where your ball is going. Try not to. By following through with the club and not your eyes, you'll help create that all-important smooth stroke. So remember, set up with the ball nearer your front foot, your putter face square to the target, and your eyes over the ball. Grip the putter lightly, but keep your wrist firm. Choose your line carefully, then swing your arms and shoulders as a unit, using your hands to guide the club. Practicing your putting is one of the best ways to help lower your scores. Here's a couple of drills designed to help you hole out. Even professionals miss the short putts. If you want to master the art of holding those tricky little putts, then try this round-the-clock exercise. Simply place 12 balls in a circle around the hole to create a clock face, and then try and hold each of them in succession. If you miss one, then start again. As you start to improve, simply widen the clock face to make it harder again. The simple truth is that when you're further away from the hole, you're less likely to make the putt. The secret to long putting is making sure you leave the ball close enough for the next shot to be a simple tap-in. This exercise will help improve your judgment of distance and speed, the most important aspects of long putting. Take a handful of tees and place them in a semicircle formation around the back of the hole. A radius of 18 inches to 2 feet should suffice. Now take a few balls and try to ensure that each putt stays within the semicircle. If you fail the task, then start again and carry on until you make it. As you get better, simply make your putts longer. It takes years to really master the game of golf, but regular practice on each part of your game will really help bring down your scores. Try and get the basics right first and iron out any bad habits that may develop. If you stick at it, you'll be surprised at just how quickly you improve.